get my 6. Guys, well, first of all, looks like you're right, brah. I do need to talk to a shrink. I'm going to tell you why. But as I tell you, make sure to watch behind me, because we may or may not only see, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch. We may or may not see ghosts, because what you're seeing behind me here, I'm in front of Dillard Hall on the campus of the University of Virginia. It's right across the road from Scott Stadium. This is more than just a beautiful university campus. This entire area you're viewing right here behind me, this beautiful forested area, is an unmarked cemetery. Unmarked graves all over the place right here. And I have a ghost story for you that happened in Scott Stadium, smack dab in the middle of a football game. Ghost was harassing people. So let's get going. It's my sub. What? No, brah. I don't need to talk to a shrink. Sounded like a car horn. I don't need to talk to a shrink because I may or may not think that potentially I see ghosts and Bigfoots and Sasquatches. I'm looking for a plaque. There's a plaque here. The history I just told you is true about this unmarked cemetery here, unmarked graveyard. I would like to be able to give credit to the organization that finally did the research and the history and got this big plaque put up so that people would become aware of this. Oh, man, there's a million steps. What are these steps? Graduation was this weekend, so Charlottesville once again is a ghost town. Boom. Of course, brah, that's why we're ghost hunting here. Where else would you go ghost hunting? Ghost towns. You don't go ghost hunting in non-ghost towns. So anyway, yeah. If I would have been here last week, there'd be like people everywhere. But now, for the next 3 months, it's just me and the squirrels. See that squirrel back there at my 6 o'clock? Yeah, that means look behind me. So, what? So do I need to go talk to a shrink because I've been alone for too long now since my wife and kid are on vacation in the Philippines? Look at that squirrel. Hey, squirrel, what's up? What's up? What's up? No, listen. That reminds me, I have a superpower. And if you're an empath or an introvert, you probably have this. You have the same superpower, whether you're aware of it or not. So I'm going to explain it to you. What, brah? No, I don't need to talk to a shrink because I think I have a superpower. It's 90 degrees right now, and I just walked upstairs, so if I start to sweat, you'll understand why. All right. This is a cafeteria. Runk Dining Hall. A lot of people comment in the comment sections that they graduated from UVA 20 years ago, and they like it when I make the videos down here or in town because, you know, they haven't been back in 20 years. And well, back there was Dunk Hall. We're walking up to Observatory Hill here. All right, so my superpower, and then I'm gonna get on with the ghost stories. The ghost story where I literally saw potentially a ghost harassing people in the middle. It was a Florida State game. UVA, we upset Florida State. It was 2 years ago. Bryce Perkins' senior year, the last year that we were able to actually attend games. Hopefully we'll be able to get back this year. So, we got some people coming. Gotta make sure not to get them on video. Oh, there's a squirrel. I almost stepped on it. Okay. So as you know, even though I wear a lot of corduroy, I do have friends, and I have good friends. I have the best friends in the world. and they've been checking in on me, you know, now that Dearly and Daniel are away. They've been asking, you know, or they've let me know that if I wanted to hang out, they're up to it. And I've thanked them, and they're wonderful, and they're sincere, and they mean it. But kind of declined, because here's what's going on. I'm writing my first full-length novel for the first time in almost 5 years. And I am taking full advantage of this time alone to get that done. The greatest enemy of writing is interruptions. The best way to describe this would be to tell you to go watch a movie called The Man Who Invented Christmas. No, not The Man Who Invented Halloween. That's me, silly. Come on. I know you read October Nights and the editorial on the back. The Man Who Invented Christmas. It's a movie about Charles Dickens and how he wrote A Christmas Carol in like 7 weeks or something like that. He'd already been paid upfront money for his next book. He was 2 months away from the publishing deadline, hadn't even started because he had writer's block. And if he didn't meet the deadline, he was going to have to pay back the money, and he didn't have it. And he was getting ready to lose his house on top of all this. So he needed not to just write a book. He needed to write like a bestseller. He needed to hit not just a home run, but a grand slam. Well, as you know, he did. And A Christmas Carol. You know, here's one of my claims to fame. My book, From the Graves of Babes, which is a ghost story, full-length novel. It spent 6 months on Amazon as the #1 customer-rated ghost novel. Guess what was #1 until mine? Well, it was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And I knocked it out of the #1 spot around midsummer, stayed there till Christmas, got knocked down to like 1058th place and hasn't seen #1 since. There's a couple big fat groundhogs back here. Get my 6. I'll walk backwards. Listen, this is part of no, this isn't my superpower. This isn't my superpower. My superpower is the ability to be very comfortable spending long periods of time alone. Other empaths can relate to this. Introverts can relate to this. I don't need to be around people to feel complete. Yeah, he's still there. Watch right in front of the garden. There he goes. It's like a big fat groundhog. Some people call them whistle pigs because when they make a sound, it's like a whistle. Now, I would spend every waking minute of my life with my wife and my son. But other than that, and I love my friends. I have wonderful friends, and I enjoy the time I spend with them. But I guess I made my point. That's my superpower. No, brah, that's not why I need to talk to a shrink. So, I'm getting some really good writing in. 2,000 to 5,000 words a day on a good day. And the book's coming out great. So, God, this is so beautiful. Look at these gardens. I'm going to show you my view. So, the students have gardens like all over this campus. And I talked to the girl last week when I was up here walking around, hit one of the different garden spots who actually organizes all this stuff. She says it's all volunteers. Man, look at the size of those onions. It's all volunteers. Basically, if a student feels like they want to work on the garden, they will. They'll stop in, pull some weeds, help water it. These are beautiful, aren't they? Look at this. You know, I'm going to be up here. I need to pull some weeds this summer while these students are home. She told me I could, so that's beautiful. What is that, straw grass or hay or wheat or something? Is that wheat? I don't know. So now, for all of you UVA grads who haven't been back to Charlottesville in forever, something's running in the forest. Whoa. Another big fat groundhog. Had my hopes up that it was potentially Bigfoot Sasquatch. Look at those flowers, aren't they beautiful? That's why I love to come walking around. And this place is gorgeous. All right, so as I was saying, for all you UVA grads who haven't been back in forever, we're walking up to Observatory Hill here, and we're going to hit some trails. I'm going to tell you a ghost story. Now that I've told you about my superpower and all that stuff. All right, we're entering the woods. I'm breathing a little hard because it's still hot. It feels better in here because, shade. I already biked about 8 miles today. I biked when it was probably a little bit too hot to bike, but I just wanted to. So, all right, true ghost story. I saw it, I was there, I witnessed it. And as far as the unmarked graves go that we were in back there, who's buried there? I got to finish that story first, right? And that's part of the story of what happened at the football game anyway. Well, it turns out the University of Virginia, most of it is built on land that used to be a large working plantation. Now, as you know, what that means is prior to the Civil War, there were enslaved people working this plantation, doing all the work to keep the owners rich. So, get some water. Remember, you've got to stay hydrated. I don't know if it's still down here or not, but I'll tell you, I was down here one time, and there was this creepy old phone laying in the trail, and it had a sign beside it that said, "If this phone rings, under no circumstances, do not answer it." And it wasn't plugged into anything. It was out here in the woods. That was pretty creepy. All right, so, and it says this on that plaque I couldn't find. I'll find it some other time. When these people, these enslaved people, would die, they just bury them in the field in unmarked graves. They wouldn't even give them a plaque or a tombstone. As you know, a lot of those folks didn't even have names. They were just known by the trade they did. I don't know what this is. This must have been some kind of art project, maybe, years ago. Okay, well, here's some history. 11,000 years ago was the end of the most recent ice age. Um, 1607 AD, Monicans, that's the main tribe that used to live here, began moving west into Amherst County to avoid European settlers. It says 1619 AD, first Africans arrive in Virginia. 1500 AD, tulip trees still going strong in eastern North America and central China, where the climate is similar enough to higher latitudes during the age of dinosaurs. Huh, that's neat. Wow, that phone is still here. Look at that. Look at this. Wrangle. Okay, so there's, I read a sign similar to this down on the Ravenna River at Riverview Park, I think it is, where it basically explained that entire river bottom down there is people buried everywhere, enslaved people, Native American Indians. So guys, basically, I'd venture to say that if you're anywhere in the South, there are probably unmarked graves in so many places you don't even know of because of the days of slavery. And just, that's why when people talk about, whatever happened there where you live to cause creepy stuff happening there now, man, you have no clue about what's happened where we are. I mean, this world is a very old place. There were known Native American Indian tribes living in the area where my house is as long ago as 14,000 years ago. All right, so I'm at a UVA football game. Me and my beautiful bride, Dearly, a.k.a. Giggly Girl. Daniel wasn't with us that time. He goes with us about half the time. The other half the time, he'll go spend the day with one of his friends. We don't sit in the bleachers. Dearly and I go and stand mostly at a place called The Hill. It's right underneath the big Titantron and on the end of the field. It's there at the end of the end zone. Now, it's where the students hang out, where the students sit. They call it Who's on the Hill. We go there because we get a good view, and it's just very lively. All the students there being all rowdy, and there's other, non-students that hang out there. So we're there, we're playing Florida State, and right in front of me, there's a spot about halfway down the hill where anytime anybody would walk through there, they would fall down. They would just slip and slide, and it wasn't wet. It hadn't been raining. There was no mud there. They just kept falling down. So I just happened to have on me in my pocket one of my blue construction paper rectangles, and I had a red construction paper circle. I guess I'd been squatching earlier in that day, still had them on me. So I pull them out and I'm looking, I'm watching. So I'm putting up the blue rectangle to see, because potentially I felt there may have been an angry ancestor spirit there, a ghost. And so I'm bringing the red circle over cause I wasn't quite ready to confirm it yet. There definitely was, but I was bringing my red circle over, and we walked down to like some sort of reserve for water or something. There's a sign that says restricted area, authorized personnel only. What are they hiding? All right, so there was this woman sitting beside me. She wasn't a college student. She was probably late 30s, and she's like, "What are you doing with those construction paper, cutout things?" She was intrigued. She was seeing Crazy Lake in very impromptu action. I mean, I wasn't out in the forest like this squatching. I was at a UVA versus Florida State football game, and we won that day when we charged the field. We upset. It was a great year. It was Bryce Perkins' senior year. Joe Reed, and undefeated at home all year. Okay, so we beat Virginia Tech at the end of the year for the first time in 15 years. Great game. I put that game is on this YouTube channel, so just Google it, like UVA beats Virginia Tech, or look it up on YouTube. You'll find it on this channel. So I explained to her, this woman who was curious and intrigued by watching the master at work, about the meaning behind the different shapes. The blue rectangle means potentially. As I said, I think there might be a ghost there, so I'm looking to see if I can see it through the blue rectangle. I said, if I can confirm that it is a ghost, I'll hold a red circle over it. And she's like, why would that even work? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot, but I told her it made sense to me. So she's like, okay. And I said, here, try it. I gave her my shapes, and so she's like, hold them up. And she holds up the blue rectangle, and this another student goes through there, and he falls on his butt. And she goes, I can't figure this out. I've been watching these people just fall every time they go there too. I told her, I said, I think it's haunted. I think that spot right there for right now is haunted. And she's like, by what? And I was like, a ghost. And she's like, a ghost from who? And I told her about how basically the campus was built over top of, unmarked cemetery, giant unmarked cemetery of enslaved people who were just buried when they were worked to death or got sick and died, or died of, natural causes. They were just buried. And she didn't know that. And I told her about the plaque. So she starts holding the shapes up again because, she saw someone else fall. And as she looked at me, she gave me a weird look. She's like, I swear it might, most people would think that it was a look that maybe she was thinking I was crazy. But I think what it is, I think when she held up that blue rectangle, right when she saw that kid fall, I think she saw something in that blue rectangle more than just a kid falling on his ass. That's what I think. So she tried to give those back to me as she was like getting away from me. I was like, no, you keep those. I said, someday someday those would be souvenirs. And she was like, this guy's a weirdo. So anyway, she left. A couple minutes later, I looked up behind me and she moved up like 10 yards back behind me, and she was like whispering to some other women. I guess she knew them, and they were looking at me real funny and looking at the freaking cardboard cutout or construction paper cutouts. I was like, whatever. Okay, I don't care. I'm watching the game. So I'm watching the game. Maybe half an hour later goes by. People just keep falling down. And I look back, and those women are up there with my research tools, my homemade, handmade Bigfoot Sasquatch research tools. Every time somebody would fall, they'd hold those things up and look to see if they could see anything. Me personally, I think it was a ghost. I think there was a ghost there, and anytime somebody walked right there past that point, he'd push them down. Or she, or it, or they. I mean, it might have been more than just one culprit. Will you look at the size? Oh my heavens, this is the biggest yellow tulip poplar tree I think I've ever seen in my life. This is as big as the ones up at George Washington's house in Mount Vernon, up in Northern Virginia. Oh my gosh, the camera's not going to do it justice. That sucker has got to be 7 feet wide, just 7 feet wide. As far as going all the way around it, probably 21 to 25 feet in diameter. Wow. It's amazing. So, do I think that maybe that part of the stadium has a grave under it? Nope. You know what that sound just came from? The old phone. No, I don't think we were standing over a grave that day at the game. I think there was a ghost there. And it just kept pushing people out of the way because it wanted to see the game. Ring, 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 ring. Oh. Well, I'm looking for that plaque and I can't find it. So I'm just going to wrap this up. The point of that Charles Dickens movie, the movie about Dickens called The Man Who Invented Christmas, shows how the whole time, even though he whipped that thing out in like 7 weeks, anytime he'd get interrupted, how just, like, it illustrated the formation of his characters. Oh, and you probably want to know why I need to talk to a shrink too, huh, brah? Okay. He would be having conversations with his characters there in his writing room. They would be telling him the story, but the minute that somebody would knock on the door or one of his kids would scream, just boom, the character would just poof, disappear, as would, of course, the storyline. So that's what I'm taking advantage of now. And I'll tell you, people just who aren't writers, they just don't get that. And I understand that. I mean, I don't understand the specifics of jobs I don't do, but why do I need to see a shrink? Well, you know, this novel I'm working on, one of the characters, the main character, kind of, sort of, he has antisocial personality disorder. And I don't know if that is a mental illness or not. Seriously, I don't know if that's just a like a personality trait that can be treated and overcome if you want to. And again, key words there, if you want to. Or if it is actually a true bona fide mental illness that needs to be dealt with in other ways. So, and until I have the answer to that question, I'm not going to be able to really continue with a certain part of the narrative as far as theme goes. So that's why. And you were right, brah. I need to talk to a shrink after all, huh? You know, I guess I could just Google that now, couldn't I? See you for more next time from here at the PBS. S. The potential. Bigfoot. Sasquatch. Show. Oh.